Right at about 5 years ago, I dipped my toes into this whole reviewing board games thing. And I did a review of the original Terraforming Mars. It is panned. It's lauded as terrible. It's one of my worst videos of all time. Again, 5 years ago. A lot's changed since then. I've learned how to shoot. I've learned how to set up lighting and all this sort of stuff. I've learned what to do and not to do. Not to do a long 1 minute intro that's not that funny except to me, and that's really not the audience. I'm not my own audience, you know what I mean? I've learned a lot. I do watch it though still to go back and see how I can be humbled and improve myself, you know what I'm saying? And what gets me though is I'll see people comment like last week without checking the timestamp of like, you need to do this better. I'm like, yes, I agree. 5 years ago I did need to do this better, and I can always improve. Why am I bringing that up? Because I get a second chance. Today, we're doing Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. This is the standalone card game that you can go get right now at your Target for Terraforming Mars. Now, why do I say Terraforming Mars, standalone card games? Some of you get your hackles up and think, oh, really? Do we need that? Well, hold on. If it works, forget the fact that there's a lot of expansions for Terraforming Mars in your mind. You go, oh, is this just another way to get Terraforming Mars out there? Forget that, because I don't agree with that in the first place. But secondly, if a game is good, a game is good, correct? I think we can all agree with that. It's good on its own merits, not just the name stamped on the top of the box. So let's take a look right now at Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. One of the most beloved games of all time gets a standalone card game sequel, side hustle, whatever you want to call it. But let's take a look at this and see if it holds up to the original. Not a comparison video completely, but if it holds up, if it's a good enough game on its own, and if you own one, can you own both right now? Was ist das, as they say in Germany. That was a bit of a Russian accent, but what is this? This is Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. Is this just another expansion for the base game? Oh, no. You've already heard me do the intro, so I've probably already done similar jokes about it. But this is Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. This is a standalone card game. Now, when you hear that, some of you scream running for the hills because you're like, I don't want a standalone card game. I want the real deal. Because sometimes standalone card games mean, oh, we've stripped it down and distilled it to the point of nothing. But that is what we're going to take a look at today. Does Terraforming Mars here hold up? So here's how it looks set up. So here's the game set up. I would normally have multiple players, but I'm just showing you here. You've got the 1s, 5s, and 10s. Now I do like this. Instead of the metallic shine, they have that creamy Dove soap Game of Thrones look on these bits here. So you got 1s, 5s, and 10s there. You have your player colors here. And notice you have far fewer than you would in the last game because you're not marking each individual space on the board. In fact, you'll notice there is no tile spacing on the game. These are just ocean tiles. So you're not doing the spatial element of Terraforming Mars. Now, again, before you go running to the hills, does that mean the game's not worth playing? Well, no. Here's the thing. Still a card game. Because let's face it, Terraforming Mars is really a card game. There's the corporations you start with. Now, what I like that they've done, they've moved the iconography to the side here where you can start making your tableau go across as opposed to down. It's a little thing, but it does set the game apart. So you have your different corporations that do different things, do different benefits right here. Couple of changes that I want to point out. First of all, if you played Terraforming Mars, you'll notice this change immediately. The only three things you can spend are heat, leaves, trees, whatever, plants, and money. These don't spend. You don't spend steel or titanium. What you do is, based on your production, it's a discount. So if I get this all the way up to 3, well then it's a 3 money reduction when buying cards that have the tag for titanium. Same with steel, it's a 2 discount. You don't spend it. So the higher you get that up, the more discount you're going to get every single turn. Now there are a whole bunch of cards, just like in its predecessor or namesake or whatever. See the sides there, the benefits of them? They all have little tags on the side. You've got green cards, you've got blue cards, you've got red cards. Now, why does that matter? Well, because the main bulk of how you play this game is a little different. Yes, you're buying cards, you're doing actions, but on your turn, you're not guaranteed to be able to do the very action you want. One last thing over here, you've got these. Now, what are these? This is where the Twilight Imperium / Puerto Rico mechanic comes in. Now, Brian, what are you saying by that? Here's what I mean. Check this out. You have these 5 phase cards. On your turn, you're going to pick one of these phases to use that round. Now, what I mean by that is you are picking which type of action you want to do. When you pick this action, other people will also get to do that action with you. So this is the planning step. So let's just say I want to build a red or a blue building. Well, then I have to do construction to do that. It's the only way to do it. And you'll see it even shows it on here on the phase one. Now don't get hung up on the word phase. It's not a timing thing. It's a when you can build stuff, but it doesn't go in order. You don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 each turn. You might only do one in a round because everybody might pick the card to do one. Now you'll see what I'm saying. So in phase one, you play green cards. The only thing that's temporal and time-wise would be, let's just say you're playing a 4-person game and someone played 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're actually doing all 4 actions this round. Green would happen first, then this one, then that, then that. That's the only reason the phasing is there. But really and truly, it's not so much about that. It's about what actions are going to be played that round. So for instance, if I want to build a green card, but I really need to produce first, and no one else plays green, I might not get to play a green card that round. So for instance, let's just say we pick produce. So I'm playing production here. Everyone will produce what they produce based on this, just as you normally would in Terraforming Mars. If you play the card though, so let's just say in the phasing, you're the one who plays this card. Now multiple people could have done that, but let's just say this person plays 1, this person plays 2, and then these 2 people play 4. We will both get 4 mega credits in addition. They all have bonuses. So for instance, if you do research, you draw an additional 3 cards and keep an additional 1. Normally it's draw 2, keep 1, so you're drawing 5, keeping 2. There are other bonuses that will increase that. So you can draw 6 and keep 4 and stuff. There's ways to do that. Each player may build a blue or a red card. The second one is draw a card or play an additional blue or red card. Actions. This is when you're going to start taking those actions that would maybe be on blue cards, or they may be the basic actions down here. 20 money builds you a tree. When you build a tree, you just simply get the token. It does raise the oxygen, you do raise your terraforming rating, all that's still the same, but you're going to get these tree tokens. They're worth a point. At the end of the game, those will add onto your points. Other options would be pay 8 leaves instead of money, 14 money or 8 heat, 15 money puts an ocean tile, or cards will pay ocean tiles. The other difference is there are actions all over the cards. Let me show you this. Just like the other game, and if you haven't played the game, that's irrelevant right now, but look, see these blue cards, some of them have actions. It says action, add a microbe to this card, remove 2 microbes to take, blah, blah, blah. The actions are here, so you're going to keep your action cards up top. They can be done once per round as someone does it. But then look, gain 3 plants. See, all these are different actions you can do. Green are typically just an instant bonus that will raise your production. Usually if it's got this orange here, it means it's going to raise your production level 1. And the red typically just happen automatically. So you have these different types of cards out here, and when they can be played and when they can be used is based on what everyone chooses that round. Now that is a cool mechanic. Now here's the only difference. This has to stay down until you select your next one. So let's just say I wanted to produce again. Well, I can't pick that card again. Someone else would have to pick that card. I can play development, and then as we turn over, I put this back into my hand. So every other round, you could potentially play the card back to back to back. However, there's a good chance with a higher player count, you're going to be able to do a lot more each round, but it doesn't really matter because it's not a set of rounds. The game is played until all the ocean tiles are put out, and when they're put out, by the way, you would have these sitting here already, just on the board. When you choose to do one, you'll flip it over, get the benefits. So gain 2 leaves right there. As you choose trees, you'll raise the oxygen. As you play temperature, you'll raise the temperature. Instead of specific numbers, this is different. The board actually shows different ranges of color. So some things may require you to be in purple, some may require to be in red, in yellow, in white. So it's really streamlined that. Everybody starts with 5 micro credits and terraforming rating. You'll raise that up. Your money obviously produces your terraforming rating plus whatever you have over here. So you can also produce cards each round, which is pretty neat. So you don't actually have that phase in which you're going to draw cards and buy cards. You produce cards, get them in your hand, and then pay for them based on the cost listed in the top left. Tags are still there. Certain things will combo off tags, but basically when all 3 parameters are done, you'll finish up, you'll score points. Person with the most points wins the game. That is the Ares Expedition. So that is the Ares Expedition. First and foremost, I like the way this one looks better than the original. Gone are some of the silly elements of the player board, some of that stuff, which all that's fun and silly, the mutton chops dude, all that's great, but this looks cleaned up. This looks like it got hit with a much higher editing process on the art design. I like the board in the middle more. I think that board looks better, even though it doesn't have the spatial elements. I get it. Placing cities out is a huge part of the original, and that is gone. But that's what makes it a stripped down, distilled version as a card game. You don't have those spatial elements of the board. Yes, there's a board, but it's really there as just a counter. This is all about your tableau. But so is the original, really. It's about your tableau and what you could do. So art style, art design, this one is so good. I like, and just a simple shift, but I like that they shift the icons from the top or the side over here to this side where you can run your tableau across your table. It's just easier to look at for me to go just like that. I like that you get a benefit now instead of spending it. It's just a straight flat discount as you move up iron and steel. I think that's smart. It just makes sense. Now, can it be over powerful? Yeah, if you start jacking it up to where every time you build that kind of card, it's 9 off, 12 off, it can become a little powerful, but then again, you had to invest in that to get it. So it has pushes and pulls and balances. Now, art design, art style, this one looks great. It's a smaller box. It is not a smaller game, though, in the sense that it's not going to eat up your table. This one will still hog a table, especially when playing with 4. Now, let's talk about core mechanics. Obviously, card play and all that sort of stuff is there. Forget that for a minute, because that is not the core mechanic of this game. Yes, excuse me, it is the core mechanic, but it's not what stands this game out and makes it go, wow, okay, is this something we can own both of? Because this is the major moment right here, to me, that sets this apart as opposed to just a stripped down game. It's that interplay of choosing which phases you're going to do each round. To me, that is one of the coolest mechanics in games. I like it in Terraforming Mars, I like it in Twilight Imperium, I like it in Puerto Rico, to where, I really need to do this action, but maybe somebody else will pick it. I won't get the bonus, but at least I can do this. And I love that. I think that is one of the most fun parts, is just that idea of getting to do those little extra special byplays, interplays of playing with more people and hoping like you can game the system out to where I know they're going to do production because they're out of money, so I'm not going to play it this round. Or you'll have those turns where everybody plays the same card, which is always fun too. But I like this. I like this a lot. I may, and again, this is not a comparison video, so don't take this with the whole like, oh, Bryan did, Terraforming Mars versus blah, blah, blah. I might like this better than the original. Now, I love building cities. I love building parks. I love all that stuff in the original. Got it? But as a total package, the Lex Luger, the torture rack of this, I really think this one does what it does. It might be the best card game ever, in my opinion, because it does what it's supposed to do. Yes, it keeps the name Terraforming Mars, so you get the elements that feel like Terraforming Mars. And yet it's still a card game that feels different enough on its own to where you could play these two back to back and not go, oh, we just played the same game twice. And that's good. I love that. I think you should be able to do that. So the end question is, should you own both of these? 100% yes. Absolutely own both the Ares Expedition and the board game. I love how this plays. You do not miss the elements that are missing from this that much. Now, yes, you can go back and play the original. It's fine. It's great. It's a phenomenal game. It's one of my top 100. And do that. And you should do that. In fact, again, I recommend playing them relatively close to each other in time, just so you see the difference yourself. But at the end of the day, if you only have a few minutes, if you have a shorter amount of time, pick the card game. You're still getting that meat on the bone experience of Terraforming Mars. If you've got a longer time at night, pick Terraforming Mars, the original. The point I'm trying to make here is that this is a phenomenal game. It's an excellent reproduction of the card game version of a game. 100% go get this. If you pass it in Target, go pick it up. It is so good. Get it at your local game store, wherever. Get it. It's good. You'll thank me later. I'm putting a full force behind this. I really, really love this game. I love the version of this as it is. So I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you.